We begin tonight with a ruling by the Court of Appeal in Abuja, which overturned the decisions of the Federal High Court and the Kano State High Court regarding the legal dispute between Sanusi Lamido II and Aminu Bayero over the Kano Emirate leadership tussle. The Kano High Court had earlier issued a restraining order against Emir Bayero and other former emirs, about 4 of them, while the Federal High Court nullified the state governor's decision to remove Bayero and replace him with Sanusi in the first place. Today's ruling by the appellate court says the Federal High Court lacks jurisdiction to intervene in Kano State chieftaincy matters and ruled that the state's High Court's decision lacked merit. And now, supporters of the deposed Emir of Kano, Ado Bayero, say that the recent appeal court judgment declaring that the Federal High Court in Abuja has no jurisdiction to entertain matters relating to the Kano Emirate tussle will be appealed. Aminu reports.
The case had split the Kano Emirates into 2 different factions among supposedly members of the same royal family. While one faction supported the deposed Emir Ado Bayero, the other faction stood firmly behind the reinstated Emir Mohammed Sanusi II. With the Federal High Court and the Kano State High Court delivering differing judgments on the matter, the case was then taken to the Court of Appeal in Abuja and judgment duly passed.
2 judgments in this case. The first one made by the Federal High Court in Kano, which they are of the view that the Federal High Court does not have the jurisdiction to entertain that case. The judge in his ruling said they should revert to the State High Court for retrial, and the other 2 judges disagree with him. That is the case for the Federal High Court. As the case for the State High Court, all what the State High Court has done, they have nullified all the decisions of that court and asked for a retrial of the case.
The judgment by the 3-member panel of justices, led by Mohammed Mustafa, was unanimous. But one of the supporters of the deposed Emir Ado Bayero told newsmen that the judgment will be appealed to the nation's apex court.
On the issue of the Federal High Court, we'll go to the Supreme Court. That is definitely.
The court has called for fresh hearing under a different justice of the State High Court to ensure that the matter is duly resolved in the eyes of the law. In Abuja for News Central, I am Aminu.
And now for more of this story, Jide Ologun, a constitutional lawyer, joins me right here in the studio. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm going to ask you first, what are the implications of the Abuja Appeal Court's ruling on the legal dispute between Ado Bayero and Mohammed Sanusi?
Thank you very much. The battles are still on because what the Court of Appeal has done is to put the matter on a straight course. In respect of the Federal High Court, Kano Division, the appellate court has come out to declare that the court lacked jurisdiction because if you look at Section 251 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, the exclusive jurisdiction of the Federal High Court is clearly stated out, talking about banking matters, monetary matters, and financial issues, and more of that, and not necessarily issue of chieftaincy. So that is the main reason for that. And when you say a court lacks jurisdiction, it means the court cannot interpret the law and come to decisions on matters related to chieftaincy title. And that action was declared as a shoddy action, And coming to the State High Court, the position of the appellate court is that the right of fair hearing was not duly given, as the litigants were not put on notice to come and present their matters. And it was Lord Hewart that said in 1924 that justice should not only be done, but clearly seemed to have been done. And this is the position of the honorable justices in the Court of Appeal that come. The courts are there to defend justice and promote justice. So a retrial has now been ordered. So that is starting afresh. And of course, you know that the highest court in the land is the Supreme Court. And that status has been bestowed on the Supreme Court since 1963, when it became the highest court in the land. Before then, you could appeal to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council of the UK. So here we are right now. The court must obey the decision of the appellate court. So we cannot say that the battles are over right now. A retrial in respect of the State High Court, then the Federal High Court to step out of the matter.
Here quickly. What does the Nigerian Constitution say about the appointment of traditional rulers in states?
Absolutely. The appointment is subject to the chieftaincy committee that you have, and that's why in most of the states you have the Ministry of Chieftaincy Affairs that is presided over by a commissioner. And of course, under the Constitution, the governor will have to present the staff of office, and that played out clearly in Kano. So that is where it is. But the argument is that the House of Assembly in Kano that repealed the law in 2024 that brought about the deposition of Bayero and bringing in Sanusi as the 16th Emir of Kano, the argument in court was that due process was not followed. But under the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, if you look at Section 4, what Section 4 says is that the National Assembly shall make laws for the peace, orderliness, and good government in Nigeria. And basically, by extension, within that Section 4, the state houses of assembly have the power, constitutional power, to make laws for the peace, orderliness, and good government in Nigeria. So that constitutional power is there. But I think basically now it's a matter of procedures. And if you ask me, anyone is free to go to court. And that's why we have the judicial arm of the government to interpret the laws.
So where does that leave the case that went all the way to the Federal High Court?
That what?
At some point, this case was taken to the Federal High Court.
The litigants decided to go to the Federal High Court, coming under fundamental human rights. But basically, this is a chieftaincy affair, and that is what the appellate court has declared over, that the Federal High Court has no jurisdiction over chieftaincy affairs. And like I said earlier, the matter is still open. The affected party may proceed to the Supreme Court to give further interpretation, and that will become the final interpretation on the issues. But by and large...
Quickly before we go, so where does that leave this tussle? What are the next legal steps both are expected to take after this ruling? Quickly.
The tussle at this stage, there are two options. It's either you have a political solution where stakeholders come together and resolve it within the chieftaincy circle, or the matter goes all the way to the Supreme Court. And when the Supreme Court declares the final verdict, that stands in law. So those are, you have that judicial intervention or non-judicial intervention. So it's up to the stakeholders. And when I talk about the stakeholders, I'm not just making reference to Bayero and Sanusi, Lamido. I'm also making reference to the state government, the House of Assembly, the Chieftaincy Council in Kano Emirate, because the concern of the nation is that peace must prevail in the Kano Emirate.
Thank you, Jide Ologun, for your thoughts, a constitutional lawyer. Very brilliant analysis there for us tonight.